America. We were living in the east by the Nile River, living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
Either call, y'all. It's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad said 6 words to us, and these were the 6 most powerful words that he spoke. He said, accept your own and be yourself. Accept your own. The Caucasians who brought our fathers into slavery desired to take us away from our own people, our own culture, our own religion, our own God, our own language. So we have grown up in America away from our own mind, away from our own selves, and so we have been actually indoctrinated with an alien mentality.
10,000 fearless men, because we're going to have to challenge the things that are destroying our community. So this ain't no punk time. This ain't no temple time, mosque time, or church time. All the singing and shouting and preaching is over. Get in them streets now, block by block. We're going to have to clean it up. The airwaves is not enough. The television screen is not enough. You got to put boots on the ground who are trained and are willing to make the sacrifice of life itself to see our community made a decent place to live.
Attention. Drill.
Soldiering is a part of the Nation of Islam, and it readies all of us to obey the commands of God. Now some will ask, well, why military drill? Because this is what produces the camaraderie.
Facebook and Instagram thought that they could ban the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
But in reality, they can't, because he already lives in us and millions of others.
قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
In the name of Allah, Master Farad Muhammad, the one true and living God to whom praise is due forever. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. Peace, family, and welcome back to another great episode of WHID-FM. WHID-FM is your personal platform for those of us striving to follow the life-giving and life-saving teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as given to us by his premier pupil, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, gathered right here in this virtual meeting place to answer that most critical question: what has Islam done for me? It is Sunday, June 30th, and tonight we don't have Sister Janine, our normal co-host, joining us, but we have our special technical assistant, Brother Wesley Muhammad, and he'll be stepping in and answering some questions with us. So, Brother Wesley, I'll turn it over to you to introduce our guests. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to another episode of WHID, What Has Islam Done for Me? I would like to introduce our guests this evening. First, we'll start with Brother Jabril Muhammad. He's a kind, charismatic, and has a winning smile. Just a few words to describe Brother Jabril Muhammad. Hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Brother Jabril is a proud FOI and nation baby with a knack for leading teams, a flair for the arts, and a genuine desire to see his people free. Brother Jabril Brother Jabril was taught and trained by his wonderful parents, Brother Kyle and Sister Kimberly Muhammad. He was homeschooled for 7 years, second to ninth grade, gaining a thorough knowledge of self and an intense interest in the passion for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM. Brother Jabril attended George Washington Carver High School of Engineering and Science and later earned a Bachelor of Science in Engineering in Material Science and Engineering from the University of Pennsylvania. By day, Brother Jabril is a civilian mechanical engineer and in-service engineering agent at the Naval Service Warfare Center, Philadelphia Division, where he manages several large, multifaceted engineering projects in support of naval ship auxiliary fluid systems. As an ever maturing entrepreneur, Brother Jabril is the co-owner and director of engineering of Original Man Scientific LLC, a community-based science and technology company designed to deliver the advantages of research and development to inner city communities and underrepresented groups. He is also one of 3 co-hosts of your Black is STEM platform, the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent and Black culture, highlighting the best and brightest in STEM across the Black and brown diaspora. Brother Jabril strives hard to make his community a safe and decent place to live through STEM engagement, mentorship, and innovation. He is continuously supported by his beautiful wife of 5 years, Sister Khalifa Muhammad, has been blessed with 2 beautiful children, 23-month-old Brother Jazir Muhammad and 9-month-old Sister Imam Muhammad, and is a proud member of Muhammad Mosque number 15, Atlanta, Georgia. That is Brother Jabril. And we also have our guest, Brother Tariq Muhammad. He's a biomedical research scientist and the founder and chief operating officer of Original Man Scientific LLC, a Black-owned and operated research and development company. Hailing from Harlem, New York, Tariq, alongside his younger sister, was homeschooled by his mother from 4th to 10th grade and grew up with a love for science, especially medicine. At age 17, Tariq began to show passion for medical research in the area of cardiovascular biology. He began his own independent research project on the treatment of arthritis, I believe. I apologize if I mispronounced that, using phytochemical structures in the Navy beam. Praise be to Allah. After high school, Tariq attended Virginia State University, majoring in agriculture, earning a position in their agriculture research station just 12 days into his freshman year. For Tariq, studying agriculture added unique integrated features to his medical research, which included more plant-based approaches to human disease. At age 19, Tariq caught the attention of a researcher formerly of the Pauli Hart Center at Virginia Commonwealth University. It was then he received medical research training to aid him in his research pursuits towards arthrosolitis. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll let our brother pronounce that for me once he comes on. Tariq also worked with Virginia Polytechnic Institute, also known as Virginia Tech, working on research involving bacteria. In 2014, Tariq used his knowledge of science and business to begin his very own research brand to protect the intellectual property of his research, the Navy Bean Experimental Research Station. This station explores the biological and chemical potential of the Navy bean. The following year, Tariq founded Original Man Scientific LLC to help others with their research and development pursuits. In addition to his bench work in scientific research, Tariq is also the founder and clinical manager for a nursing agency and health education company, Comer by Night Healthcare LLC, with CBN Healthcare, where he provides presides home health services, nurse staffing services, and CPR and first aid training. On the nonprofit side, Tariq serves as Mid-Atlantic Regional Coordinator for the Ministry of Health and Human Services and the Nation of Islam's partnership with the local organizing committee in the spirit of the Million Man March. In addition to his love for science, Tariq enjoys exploring nature, training in martial arts, volunteering in the community, and co-hosting a growing interview platform, The STEM Files, where the stories of Black scientists, engineers are shared with the world. Praise be to Allah. Welcome, Brother Jabril and Brother Tariq. Thank you for joining us on What Has Islam Done for Me. And Brother Tariq, if you don't mind, can you pronounce that word for us, brother?
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. It's pronounced atherosclerosis.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Again, welcome you both to What Has Islam Done for Me. This evening, we definitely want to dive deep into, because our theme for tonight is the essence of thought. So we have a few questions in reference to this theme here. But to start off, we'll start with Brother Jabril. What is your understanding of the difference between thoughts and ideas?
That's a beautiful question. So all praises to Allah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, merciful, I bear witness to no God but Allah, who came to us in the divine person of Master W.H.I.D. Muhammad, whom praise to forever. Further bear witness to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's living, risen, and exalted Christ, the honorable minister as far time for divine reminder in our midst today, and Messiah, of course. Again, peace, assalamu alaikum, family. Thank you, brother, for that question. And I've been mulling over the title for some time. I remember Brother Tariq showed it to me. I said, ooh wee. I said I had to get into some books on this one. But just breaking it down for me very briefly. I think about the difference lying in the action itself. So a thought is something that, according to the lessons given to us by Master Father Muhammad, travels at an average speed of 24 billion miles per second. It is something pretty sudden. It is occurring pretty often throughout our day, throughout our life. And it is in response to several external stimuli, whether it's something we see, smell, touch, experience in some way, shape, or form. And it is something that we may or may not act on externally based on the fact that we've experienced it, but it's real nonetheless. An idea is a thought that now has a bit more substance because it is something that, with proper motivation, discipline, training, access, expertise, it can be acted upon. So now you go from, okay, I just saw somebody, let me think. I saw that this broom that I'm using seems to break down at a certain time. And I'm like, man, I really wish that this had a longer life and I can use it longer. That's an initial thought. But then the idea is, well, what if I made this broom out of a longer lasting, more substantive, or durable material that it doesn't wear out as much? So now I've had the thought, but then the idea is a bit more specific in that I can carry out this this series of actions to then bring about what it is that I've thought about. So I pray that that makes sense, but it's really in the ability to now act on what was in one's thinking.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Tariq.
Absolutely. First and foremost, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. And just to first and foremost thank the forgive me, Brother West, what's the acronym again?
WHID-FM.
WHID-FM. I want to thank you all for inviting Jabril and I again. I think this is our second time on within the last year. And just to answer your question, just to echo my brother's words about thought is that initial introduction into your thinking, right? And when you take the thought and you transform it into an idea, you're taking things a step further or steps further, right? So now we have a thought, but now we need to be able to shape and mold that thought into something that can eventually be made into a working product or solution to something, right? And then we also have to be mindful that even though we have the thought and now we have moved on to the idea, we have to understand that the ideas don't belong to us. So if we are blessed with the opportunity to have the thought, and then again blessed with the opportunity to have an idea, we have to be able to take that idea and carry it out and actually see it through, because Allah can give that idea to someone else and they will see it through. So we just have to be mindful that, even though these are thoughts and ideas, we have to take them seriously so that they can eventually become flesh.
Praise be to Allah. And what you just stated, Brother Tariq, it made me think of the lecture by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Belief in Allah. He said that we don't have any.
Right.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. We have no territory or jurisdiction, I'm paraphrasing, over thought. So if we're not going to carry out, Allah is not going to waste anything. So praise be to Allah. Thank you all for your comments on that. Both of you all have an extensive resume in science, health, medicine. I want to kind of delve into that, and also just in reference to the programs that you have, the podcast, the show that you all are co-host on as well. So how much thought should go into developing righteous programming, as well as in who you decide to collaborate to develop these type of programs? We can start with Brother Tariq.
Absolutely. Well, the imagery that we see on television and media, they shape the minds of everybody, anyone who's watching it, right? Not just young people, but anybody, various age groups, various, walks of life. So it's important that we are able to really sit down and come together with those who are like-minded like ourselves, and really sit down and look at, first and foremost, what do we have, right? The reason Jabril and I started the STEM Files going on, 2016, going on 8 years now. It'll be 8 years in October. The reason we started the STEM Files was because of what we did not see. We did not see a platform where Black scientists and engineers, or even those who are considered science enthusiasts, were represented in a platform that was fully controlled and operated by Black people. We didn't see that anywhere on TV. We didn't see it on social media. So we just decided to come together and put a program like that in place. So you really have to look at what's available, even if it is available, how is it being represented to you, right? You can have all the content in the world, but is this content really doing the necessary work to uplift and resurrect the minds of the people? And we feel that the STEM Files is using science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to do that.
Praise
the question.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Beautiful answer. Brother Jabril, you have anything to add to that as well, as far as how much thought should go into developing righteous programming, and then who you collaborate with?
Yes, sir. So first off, very beautiful question, and thank you again for inviting us on and asking. We live in a world, according to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, exemplified and explained by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, that is diametrically opposed to the nature of the original man, which is righteousness. We live in a world, and more specifically, a time where our attention is constantly oriented toward that which does not advance us and quite frankly distracts us from things that are more productive. The most productive being a nation of our own. So you must really be thinking of that which is righteous on a base level 24/7, 365, and that's in general, let alone ideas, right? But now when you talk about righteous ideas on how to advance oneself, one's family, right, one's community, nation, or what have you, you should take time each and every day. You know, we work right 9 to 5s. We deal with our children, right? We engage business. You know, we're driving here and there. We should take time each and every day to think about what our purpose is in life. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan teaches us, you know, that those who are blessed, right, are those who have found their purpose in life. So, what is it? What am I here to do? What are my gifts and talents? What do I like to do? And how can I align myself with that which is of a righteous nature, is of God? So, and then when you compound that with, okay, now I have an idea, I've had this thought, I want to do a certain thing. Who I collaborate with is so important
Right.
because those who are skilled are not necessarily those who are of one mind. So if I have an idea or if I have a specific reasoning behind why I want to do a particular motivation, and let's say I have a motivation where I want to grow my own food and feed the hungry. Well, my motivation may simply be to give quality sustenance to those in need. The person I collaborate with or have interest in may know how to farm, may have certain connections, what have you, but their main motivation may be to make a dollar.
Right.
So
Right.
now, at some point, those two motivations may clash when, let's say, you want to offer something to people at a certain price that does not necessarily jive with, you know, what the other person wants to price it at, or you want to make a deal that, but it's saying, that doesn't necessarily make sense to me in that way. So, um, I pray that answers the question, but it's so important to spend time and energy thinking about that which is righteous in a unrighteous world and really making sure that those we collaborate with are of one mind and are really motivated by the same thing.
Absolutely. And just to add to my brother's point, you know, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan uh, delivered his lecture called The Criterion back in 2020, he said we must unify, and I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember the exact quote, but he said we must unify or bring together our Black biologists, chemists, those in the life sciences so that we can develop treatments for COVID-19, right? But as, you know, as time went on, you know, and there's no but to that because that's absolutely true. But as time goes on, you have to understand that you can have 11 immunologists, 11 biologists in one room, but only one of them will want to help their people. So you got to make sure that everybody's on the same page and actually wants to do the work, you know, because just because everybody has the same background and similarities and whatnot, and we've even learned that with the STEM files, that just because they're Black and in STEM does not mean that they belong, or that they will come on to the STEM files. There's a lot that goes into understanding what exactly it is that we're trying to do with the STEM files. And you being Black and in STEM, you may not see that right away. You may see it down the line, but that's not the only thing you have to look for. You also have to look for the desire and the fact that these individuals want to see that their people successful and rise by using STEM.
Praise be to Allah. And that really is really the nature of that particular question, because we notice in this society that we in, a lot of great ideas come up, a lot of programs exist, podcasts and whatnot, and then we see as it begins to grow, there's a separation from where it started off with the intent may have been so-called positive, the collaboration may have been well seeming, but then ultimately the truth comes up. So that's why I really bring that up, because as we strive, just like with what has Islam done for me, this is righteous programming. So with everyone have that same shared intent to help our people, regardless of what may come up, life is going to do what it's going to do, but having that bond of the common mind or the like minds is going to help persevere through those episodes of things that may transpire, that there may be bumps along the way as well. So praise be to Allah. I appreciate you all clarifying and adding on to that as well. I'm going to ask one more question, really kind of dovetailing on that last question, in reference to the thought that goes into righteous programming, but also in research. We know that the science and health pharmaceutical area is very lucrative. How, when it comes to researching and when it comes to helping our people from a medical or from a research standpoint as well, how much thought should go into that as well? We know that there's many ways that things can take place, but we also know that there's a price tag associated with doing things that may be against our people. So what would you encourage those who may want to get into STEM, want to get into researching and developing products, providing information to our people, navigating that particular part of the industry to avoid those pitfalls of falling into, well, the bag says this, but I know my people need this? How would you navigate that to be, or encourage them to navigate that as well? And as far as the thought that should go behind doing your research or providing some type of service in that field. We can start with Brother Jabril.
All praise is due to Allah. First and foremost, whenever we're engaging, or when I talk to our engaged mentorship with younger people, or people that at any age that want to pursue a discipline in STEM, and we know that several different STEM disciplines can be lucrative, but they also require time, attention, intense effort, and dedication. So the first thing I would say is really understand your why. Why do you want to engage STEM? Because there's going to be long nights, or early days. There's going to be tears, right? There's going to be so many things that come in your way. There'll be people potentially that tell you can't because you're black, right? Because you're from a certain place. And now when you achieve, because inshallah you will, here comes the bag. And what we have to understand is that the coin is in the fish's mouth. And we understand too that, as a people, we have upwards of a 1.1, 1.3 or so trillion dollar buying power. So we're spending a lot of money year in and year out. So we just spend it on things that are not necessarily substantive. So what we have to do is compound our love of and discipline in STEM with business strategy, and learn one of the sciences that were kept from us being the science of business. There's always a bag that can be given, and you can always sign a deal and then sign your life away, right? And if your why is not the liberation of your people through your expertise, through your interests, your gifts and talents, then you'll sell out every time. But if you are desirous of helping your people, and you have the background, you have the expertise, you have the product or the service, now it's time for you to really grow to understand business so that you can really provide for yourself with your talent, right? We're taught that our gifts will make room for us, and we're further taught in our lessons that Master Muhammad came and promised us luxury, money, good homes, friendship, and all walks of life. So if God in person promised you these things, it is up to us to now seek his face and seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then all those things will be added unto us, right? We just can't grow impatient with Allah's apparent slowness to reward good work. I'm paraphrasing that last part, right? Or good consistent service. So I pray that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Brother Tariq?
Absolutely. My brother was absolutely right, especially about the business part. And just to tell a short story, just a brief, our history of my work with the Navy being, right? When I was 19 years old, I had a mentor by the name of Uzo, and he's actually a MD, PhD now. And at that time, he was still a student. But one of the things that he taught me really, was that when it comes to getting involved in scientific research, and at that time I was so green and so naive to things, right? He said one of the things that you have to keep in mind when it comes to scientific research is that you don't want to give anybody the opportunity to say no. So you have to, if this is something that you want to do and you want to explore science, you have an idea in your mind about something involving, science or biology or chemistry or what have you, you have to be able to really sit down with yourself and make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're studying, know what you're talking about, so that when you get to the point where you can make your idea flesh and take it into the laboratory and build it out and flesh it out, you don't run into any obstacles. Now, there are obstacles you'll run into, but it won't be because of your idea. It may be because of, you may have to go to another lab or something like that. But just to bring everything together, the business side is also important too, because being able to understand intellectual property
Mhm.
and how that works would also protect you from the pitfalls that may come your way when it comes to going into science and engineering, right? With Original Man Scientific, we're not all about, volcano experiments and showing people, how tornadoes work and stuff like that. We want to be able to sit you down, look at it is what's in your head, see how we can protect what's in your head, and then eventually make it available to the general public, right? We just got finished working on an amazing product that is coming down the pipe very soon, where we helped an inventor really sharpen or, make his invention better. And now when he introduces it to the public, it's going to be even more fantastic than it was before. So we just have to understand, the beauty of intellectual property, being able to know what your idea is, how to protect it, and how to introduce it to the community. So business, knowing what you're talking about when it comes to your science, and you'll be fine.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you both for your answers on those questions. I have a few more, but we want to turn it over to Brother West. He has a few questions for you as well. Brother West?
Yes, sir. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Good to see you, sir.
Praise yes, sir. Good to see you all too. Great to have you all back on. So my first question for you both was in reference to how important it is to exercise the brain. Many are saying that AI will take over the world one day, and that we should be mindful of its evolution. But I wanted to know if you think that it has the potential to do so, or should we just take those theories with a grain of salt?
Absolutely. Artificial intelligence is nothing new. It's been around.
Okay, I think our brother Tariq went out for a second. Our brother Jabril, we can go to you.
Oh, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Inshallah, brother will be right back. I must say first, Brother West, I miss you, bro. Praise be to Allah. I was
Yes,
so
sir. It's
happy
good.
to be back on. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So what I would like to start with is that we should definitely take those theories with a grain of salt. And we have to understand that the master of artificial intelligence is organic intelligence, meaning that is the creator is always master of the created. And I want to caution those engaging and trying to understand AI in two ways. One, being afraid or overly afraid of it, and two, not researching it and thinking that it's going to be something that passes. One of the things that we have to understand is that evolution and change is inevitable. As the old adage goes, that the only two things that are definite, I'm paraphrasing a bit, in life are change and death, right? So we're going to continue to innovate and invent, and artificial intelligence has its place. As an engineer, I always like to talk about anything utilized by the human being or by an organism as a tool. So a tool is neither good nor evil or positive nor negative. It is really the wielder of said tool that is one or the other based on the motivation behind certain acts. So if I want to use artificial intelligence in a manner that phases out the human being from being able to earn a living wage and be productive in society, then that is something that now becomes counterproductive to high quality of life for your average person. But now if I want to leverage that to now cut down the completion time on certain tasks that are a bit mundane and allow the human mind to be more creative and spend more time on that which is more substantive in a product or in a project, now we're getting somewhere. So there are some things like, you talk about the chat GPT or whatever, where okay, you can say, put me together a business plan, or you can type in a certain command and it spits certain things out. That doesn't take away the will that you have to now carry out what you're now reading, right? But the goal should not be to now replace people to do everything, but to take those mundane things and be able to complete them and do those more quickly and spend more time on that which is more complicated and requires more creative. So take it with a grain of salt. Be mindful of it as something that is very real today and impacting our lives daily, particularly those who are on social media and working in teams and in business. But educate yourself and strive to gain an understanding, because once you understand, now you can remove fear from whatever it is that you're studying.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I believe Brother Tariq is back on. Brother Tariq.
Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, sorry about that. But yes, everything that Jabril said is accurate. We have to understand, and that what the point I was making before I had dropped off was that artificial intelligence is not new. Artificial intelligence has been around for decades. The problem that is happening is that artificial intelligence is now more easily accessible in the wrong hands, right? So one of the methods our open enemy uses to discourage us from going into a field is to make it seem like it's a bad thing, right? We would have tons more black people who know how to develop vaccines if vaccines didn't have a negative connotation to it. So it's the same thing with artificial intelligence. We have to be able to, first of all, and this is why on the STEM files we're so big on terminology, being able to understand what artificial intelligence is, how it works, and what it can be used for. We had a guest on the STEM files, a brother named Rich out of North Carolina, and he uses robotics and he uses artificial intelligence to program his robotics, right? And one of the things that we talked about was that AI can be beneficial, like Jabril said, if it's in the right hands. So there's nothing wrong with AI. AI is not the problem. A tool is never the problem. A tool is always where and what setting is this tool being used in, and who has the opportunity to really control this said tool. So we need to understand what it is and be able to have the courage and the interest enough to actually get involved in these fields so that we can make things better for our people.
Yes, sir. That's a great point. And I now wanted to know, what effect does food have on our mental capabilities, and why is it important to eat more plant-based and fresh organic foods instead of the genetically modified products that we see in stores today? And we can start with you, Brother Tariq.
You're asking what are the effects on our educational system as it relates to our food choices?
No, sir. I was just saying in terms of our minds in general.
Okay. Well, we actually just had a 2-part series, and I'm always going to go back to the STEM files because everything that we're talking about, we explored on the STEM files. But we just did a 2-part episode on how to grocery shop holistically with our beloved sister Chantel Muhammad. And the 2-part episode was centered around being able to understand, first and foremost, what nutrition is, and how we can take our knowledge of nutrition and go out into a supermarket or a place that sells food and be able to properly pick the right choices for our sustenance and be able to really provide a holistic solution to our lives. So it's very important. You know, we have to be able to shift our minds into what food and nutrition and eating healthy actually is. You know, a lot of our people think that veganism and being vegetarian, that's 100% healthy, but you have overweight vegans, you have overweight vegetarians. So it's not so much about, okay, I removed the meat, but it's a holistic thing. We have to look at the entire diet, the entire nutrition, how to eat to live. As much as some of us like to avoid these two books as being a solution, the how to eat to live is a holistic how to eat to live. It's a holistic approach to being able to take back control over your diet and in turn taking back control over your life. So we just have to really sit down and change our mindsets and being able to understand that we don't have the answers. We are not, we do not have the solutions that we think we do with all these health gurus and stuff out there. We have to really sit down and be humble enough. And that plays a part too. Our diets make us humble. It provides us with that humility, right? So if we're not humble enough to say, okay, I don't have the answers, this is not working for me, we really won't be able to have that holistic approach to our everyday lives.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And Brother Jabril, if you had
Yes, sir.
anything to add. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I want to point our attention to the first law of thermodynamics, or the law of conservation of energy. It says energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transferred or transformed. And I say that because when we think about thought, we think about the brain, and we think about what we eat. So when we eat anything, right, that travels right from our mouth to our, throat or esophagus down to our intestine to our stomach, and now the body begins to try to break said food down. Well, during that process of digestion, that takes a lot of energy, and now you have literally the body's faculties going towards the stomach to be able to break that down. So now you have less capacity, or I guess in a sense, correct from all brothers, the blood is rushing there. So now it's you're a bit foggier or slower as far as your brain sharpness. So you may feel a bit sluggish, right? You may not be able to come up with things as quickly. So when we talk about just on a base level, eating distracts the mind from doing other things. People talk about a lot of times about the gut as the first or second brain. It directs a lot of the activity or activity level of the rest of the body. So now we're not only eating, but we're eating a lot of high processed foods, and that just takes more and longer to break things down. And now we're not only eating processed foods, but we're eating processed foods all day. So we're eating all day. So how many thoughts, let alone ideas? Now you're still experiencing thoughts, but how many ideas, let alone having the energy to now move out on ideas, do you have, or what capacity do you have if you're eating highly processed foods all day, right? So I'm so tired, I don't have energy, I don't have the motivation. Well, it's because you're eating greasy things, highly oily foods, right? Things that are high in sugar content or processed sugar content, and it's not fortifying you with the vitamins, minerals, the nutrients to now really feed the brain in a manner that allows it to fire on all cylinders, for lack of a better word, and really lend itself to being productive. So I see comments to Latifah, fasting is so important, right? They have these, what, OMAD diet and intermittent fasting. We were taught to eat 1 meal a day, right? How to eat to live, right? And if we master that, go to 1 meal every other day. We master that, go to 1 meal every 3 days. And this gives the body or the stomach time to filter out the poisons and lengthen or gain longevity. So it has direct impact on how we think, what we think, and our ability to now transform our thoughts into a meaningful reality.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that response. And my next question for you both, I wanted to know if you can explain the process of neuroplasticity and what effect that has on the nervous system. We can start with you, Brother Jabril.
All praise is due to Allah. So I'm going to be frank. I've heard the term. I have not done extensive research on neuroplasticity. So I would be remiss if I began talking about it in a greater context than that. But I can do a quick search, and if Brother Tariq, you want to take a stab at that a bit,
Sure,
you
sure.
can do so.
Sure.
Well, from my understanding of neuroplasticity is the ability for the brain and especially its neurons to be able to develop or grow as a result of stimulation, right? So, and once again, I'm gonna go back to the STEM files. We had a neuroscientist on the show, Sister Dr. Maria Muhammad, and she touched a little bit on neuroplasticity and being able to, you know, change the way we change, being able to influence the compounds in the nervous system to change the way we think, right? So when we look at the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there's no greater force outside of those teachings that has been able to produce the type of neuroplasticity that we need that can bring us closer to the Lamb of God, right? And of course, Master Father Muhammad. And we also have to be, mindful of breaking down words, right? Neuro meaning brain or nervous system, and plasticity meaning shape or form. So understanding words gives us a better understanding of how this really plays a part in our everyday lives. So I'm in cardiovascular science, so my forte is not neuroscience, but based on the definition and based on how we do things as FOI and as MGT, and being able to look at Islam, the title of the show is "What has Islam done for me?" Well, Islam and neuroplasticity go hand in hand if we understand the definition of the term, right? So we have Islam. We've been given how to pray. We've been given how to eat, pay charity, this, that, and the third. All of these things help mold our nervous system, help mold our brains. So when we are able to really take these things and consume them or absorb them into what we have, well, whatever vision we have for our lives, then the neuroplasticity is going to look amazing. If you take a believer who's doing what he or she is supposed to do, and you look at their brains under a microscope, the neuroplasticity is probably top notch. So I just want to just set the tone until my brother is able to come in and add his thoughts on that. But neuroplasticity and being able to understand what it is and how we can use Islam to further develop our nervous system on a physiological level is very important.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I wanted to add something. So did a little bit of digging, and I kind of kicked myself because I forgot a bit of my background for a minute. So as with a background in material science and engineering, some materials had, or plasticity, or being plastic is also a material property, and it basically is a capacity for being molded or altered, or the ability to retain a shape after the material is physically altered. So when we talk about neurologically, or we talk about the brain plasticity, it's now you take in certain information, or there's some type of external stimuli or internal stimuli that now changes the form or of the brain in a way that now allows it to respond differently. So our ability to have our brain effectively roll with the punches, for lack of a better word, and move through life, taking in information, processing it, adjusting based on said stimuli or information, and now having a real positive impact on our ability to solve problems becomes very important. So that goes back to what you eat, what you listen to, what you read, right? Who you hang around, because at any given time, your brain is taking in and filtering out or processing information,
Right.
right? And low level information or low frequency information is going to have one impact, and high frequency information is going to have another. So if I'm constantly talking about the basketball game or what we're going to eat today, or what we watched last night, or who's going to win the fight tonight, how is that impacting, or what um, effect is that having on my ability to solve real world problems? But if I'm talking about the if I'm having a conversation around that which has the highest level of electricity, which is the word of God, right? Or the knowledge of God. And I'm also talking about things like, how to eat to live. I'm also talking about, financial literacy. I'm also talking about, creating a separate land and territory of our own. I'm also talking about building family, right? Or I'm working out. These are the things that engage the brain in a positive manner, because these are the things that are rooted in truth. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that, to engage ourselves in lies is like going against the grain of wood. So our brains are created to think right. So the more we think right, or take in that which is in accord with our nature, which is truth, the more successful we'll be. And on some level, the more effective our neurons will be at firing and things of that nature. So
Right.
Yes, sir. That definitely makes a lot of sense. And I now wanted to know if you can all speak on the process of coming back from mental death that is as is taught by us in the supreme wisdom. We know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that people can overcome mental death, but we've never seen anyone come back from a physical one. So do you think that he was speaking in terms of being literally brain dead, or are people today just lacking things like the knowledge of self and otherwise? If we can start with you, brother Tariq.
Absolutely. Well, he wasn't talking about literal physical brain death, because it's very rare if someone can come back from physical brain death. Usually after one or two tests, and you've been declared brain dead, that's usually the end. But from mental death is what the mental or spiritual death is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about, because when we look at our people and we analyze our communities, we don't, we just, matter of fact, we're the FOI, we're in the community every Monday now for the whole entire summer. And when we look at our communities, we see that, there's nothing but death that surrounds them. You can always look at someone's mental state and how alive their mental is based on the way they take care of their environment, right? If you look at the environment and it's total, there's trash, there's decrepit buildings or what have you, you can only, you don't have to guess what's in their mind. The mind is just as dead as their environment. So when the Honorable Elijah, when Master Father Muhammad came 9,000 miles to raise a people, to save a people, he wasn't saving you from physical death. He was saving you. And in truth, when he saves you from the mental death, that is actually eventually saving you from premature physical death, right? So, but what he was trying to do, not trying to do, what he did do was take a man that was able to take more men, more women, and take them out of that mental death, that spiritual mental death, and turn them into the gods that that Allah wants us to be, right? So no, it's not the physical brain death. It's always the mental and the spiritual, because those two things eventually keep you away from the physical death that the enemy has for you.
Yes, sir. Got it. And now we can go to you, brother Jabril.
yes, sir, all praise due to Allah. As you asked that question, my mind went to light and incident light on the earth, or as we're taught in the origination of God and his self creation, how that light causing that atom to rotate. And when those who walk around, when we go out in the street, we told our goal is the resurrection of the dead. Well, we know we're not going out to try to pull people out of the grave physically, But what is it to say now? We've talked about how we've been eating as a people, what we're watching as a people, what we're listening to as a people. All these things have direct impact on how alive we are. And then the Honorable Minister Farrakhan teaches us, going back to business, that business is the activity of life. So if business is the activity of life, and as a people, we're not foremost in engaging in righteous business, then that means that on some level, we're dead. And that's mentally, spiritually, economically, everything except physically. So now, if we want to return back from mental death, we have to get the we have to be shocked by a truth so plain, so potent, so powerful that it literally shocks the system and brings us back to life.
Right.
So instead of feeding ourselves on swine and ultra processed foods and excess sweets, I'm not going to only eat 1 meal a day, but I'm going to eat that navy bean, right? I'm going to, right, eat wholesome wheat bread. I'm going to drink pure milk. I know we got the people who may not agree with the milk, but they can talk about that another day, right? I'm going to drink pure water. I'm going to eat organic or clean vegetables and fruits, right? And I'm also going to watch things that stimulate my mind. I'm going to watch lectures by the Honorable Ministers Farrakhan and various ministers of Islam. I'm going to even entertain other, podcasts or programs that are are aligned with the truths of the world and the universe, right? I'm going to pursue a degree or a level of education that allows me to be a producer, not just a consumer, or someone who's able to make a job for themselves, not just someone who's able to ask for a job for someone else, right? This is now that incident light hitting the mind and now opening our eyes up to the big fields that await the wide awake man and woman to work out in. So now, if I'm constantly engaged in that process, and we can't forget prayer, right? Connecting myself to the source of strength and asking that I be fortified with the strength to go another day, right? To do that which will fortify me against this world being opposed to my rise. If I'm connected to that source of strength and I'm actively engaging those things that energize me, right? Now I have positive neuroplasticity because now that the end result or end behavior are things that get me closer to God as opposed to farther away, and thereby passing from death into life or passing from mental death into mental life.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And before I turn it back over to Brother Wesley, I'll go ahead and deliver our station ID. You are listening to WHID-FM. Thank you for tuning in and spending your valuable time. Without you, there is no WHID-FM. If you have any suggestions, please email us at WHID1919@gmail.com. And also, please subscribe to WHID-FM on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. And next week, our guests will be, inshallah, the dynamic and divine duo of Sisters Jadea and Sisters Kadira Muhammad. And that'll be July 7th, 2024. So make sure you tune in for that wonderful episode. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Brother Wesley.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. This is a beautiful conversation. I appreciate all of the answers we've gotten thus far on the questions. Some of the questions that I was going to ask, you all already touched on them. So praise be to Allah. But what I would like to ask at this time, we know that the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught and demonstrated by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, are very powerful. How have the teachings, I know you all grew up in the nation, so not from the perspective of the changing of the way you thought prior to coming into the nation, but how has these teachings continued to develop and grow your way of thinking, and how it's changed over the years as far as how you think when it goes into your field of expertise, or even just thinking as a man, as a FOI as well? We can start with Brother Jabril.
All praises due to Allah. Oh, beautiful question. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his teaching can be summed up in 6 simple words: to accept your own and be yourself. And that has been my struggle, and that has been my focus for as long as I can remember, since I've been born. to continually accept my own and be myself. And one of the major things that the teaching has blessed me to do is never be ashamed of who I am and what my purpose is. Like Brother Tariq, I was also homeschooled for a substantial stint of time, second to ninth grade, and my younger brother as well. And during that time, yes, I learned the math, the science, the English or language arts. You know, I had played sports and engaged other group activities, and I was part of the first Black owned and largely Black homeschooling group that was founded by my mother and educated by my mother. But beyond all of that, I was taught Islam day in and day out, which we know, as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad from Master Muhammad, is the nature of the original man. So as I'm constantly striving to engage this teaching on freedom, justice, and equality, I'm now going through life never calling myself a person of color, never calling myself a minority, never feeling that there's anyone or any entity in outside of myself that is the cause or the reason for why I've experienced or not experienced something, but that I am in control by Allah's grace and mercy of my destiny and of how high I go. We're taught that He came that we would have life and have it more abundantly, and that He would not accept anything less than Himself in us. Well, if that's the case, then that means that He would not accept us until we had become gods or children of the Most High. We further understand and are taught that God is simply one possessing power and force. So if I'm to be one, if I'm a possessor of power, which is work or force times distance divided by time and force, then that means that now when I wake up in the morning and strive to make prayer and kiss my wife and my children and go out into the world, I have to remember who I am and that I have an assignment or a purpose that goes beyond simply making a dollar or the mundane or difficulties of life. So it rewires or has oriented my thinking that there's nothing I can't do, and I can do anything if I put my mind to it. And I'll close with this and turn over to Brother Tariq. Man is mind. So the more I strive to align myself to that criterion or to the mind of God or to a heightened level of thinking, that means that now I am thinking critically and problem solving 24/7, 365. Part of the reason why I chose engineering, because I felt that it was something where I could implement lasting change or tangible changes in life that people could touch and really benefit from. So the teachings have been nothing but a benefit and I owe literally my actual life and anything I've had of success to the knowledge of self, God, the enemy, and the time of what must be done. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm ended there.
Praise be to Allah. Before we go to Brother Tariq, when you said man is mind, it made me think of what Brother Student Minister Nuri has said before. We're not a body with the mind in it. We're a mind with a body wrapped around it. So beautiful, just understanding that we're not just flesh,
Right.
just understanding that we're the manifestation of those thoughts, So praise be to Allah on that. Brother Tariq, what would you answer to that as well, as far as how your change has your thoughts and your thinking has developed with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Absolutely. And like Jabril said, I'm only alive and here today because of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, in 2007 or 2008, I can't remember what year he did this or what year he said this, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that regardless of your lineage, whether you're second, third, or however, that no matter what your parents are, you yourself have to take on Islam for yourself. And you have to be able to say, you know, as an adult, I want to be a registered member of the Nation of Islam. So, you know, now when you turn 16, you have to make the decision, okay, and there's no rush, of course, but at 16, you now have the opportunity to say, okay, I want to register and be a part of the Nation of Islam. Now, when I was 19, you know, and I was lollygagging a little bit, you know, from 16 to around 19, I was, you know, in high school, you know, I was brought up in the teachings, you know, so it's all I know, it's all I wanted to know. I didn't want to know anything about, you know, what it was like to be a Christian or what it was like to do anything else, you know, but when it came down to actually registering, that was what kind of, that was where I kind of, you know, took my time on. But if it wasn't for my mother, like Jabril's mother, homeschooling me and my sister and really taking our education into our own hands, I probably really wouldn't. And of course, in conjunction with how passionate my mother was in making sure that the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stay at the forefront, there's no way I would have made the decision at 19 to register, right? But what helped it along, really, and Brother Tim here in Richmond, our student second officer, he can bear witness to this. I was involved in a program or agricultural program where we educated, you know, young Black children on the science of farming and agriculture and things like that. And everybody in the program or everybody that was operating the program were registered members of the Nation of Islam. And I thought to myself, you know what? With studying agriculture at Virginia State, all of the research pursuits that I have and everything that I'm doing in science, I think I will be a better effective tool for this work if I was registered and in the mosque and getting my training as an FOI, right? So having junior FOI training is great, but now that you are 19, 20 years old and you're becoming a man, you need that manhood training, right? So having that FOI training, having that training as an adult believer now I can take what I know as an adult and mix it with what I was doing with science, and it amplified everything. It amplified everything. I was no longer, you know, well, most of my research was centered around how to live in the Navy beam, but because of now that I am in the mosque and active as a believer, I can take everything that I know from the teachings and being a soldier and apply it to my work, and it just made everything better. But you know, we have to make that decision in life, especially if you are coming up as a nation baby. You know, what is it about what you're doing that can be amplified or be increased or made better if you were active in your Islam? So that's really how I appreciate, you know, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and being able to look at our flagship product, our flagship food, which is the Navy bean, and being able to use that flagship product as the foundation or the nucleus of my work in science.
Praise be to Allah. Dovetailing on what you were speaking on, a reference to like junior FOI training in general as well. You know, we're taught and trained to be quick thinking and fast moving. What does quick thinking mean to you? And how do you implement quick thinking in your life now? Let me start with you, Brother Tariq.
Well, quick thinking just means to be able to react to something in an effective manner and in a timely manner, right? It doesn't necessarily mean, okay, when you see something, you react to it and then that's it. No, quick thinking means that it's quick, but you're also thinking, right? You're not just responding to something, but you're also thinking. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to think 5 times before we say anything, right? So all of the thought process that goes into quick thinking and fast movement is a very systemic and broken down process. You can't just, you know, see something and react to it. And that process can be applied to anything that you do. It can be applied to, you know, what Jabril and I do in STEM, or what we do in our personal lives, you know, as men of God, husbands, you know, or what have you. But quick thinking is being able to respond or to think in a decent or a reasonable rate. You know, it's not just an automatic reaction. Like I said, it's being able to look at something, respond to something, and respond to it in a reasonable way without, of course, emotion being very systemic with what it is that you are responding to.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Jabril, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yes, sir. Beautiful question. So I just looked up the definition for quick. I like to do that a lot, as we probably can see on today's session. The second definition for the adjective is of a person prompt to understand, think, or learn, intelligent. When we talk about quick thinking, what we're talking about is the rate at which we process information toward a particular end.
Right.
So there's no fast moving. Well, let me take that back. Fast moving is only effective with quick thinking. An emphasis on thinking, because I can do a lot of things quick. And as we know from the lessons, the average speed of thought is almost instant. So you're always having thoughts at such a instant or quick rate. But when you're processing stimuli, internal, external, in a very short time frame to then carry out a particular act or function for the betterment of your situation or your people, now that is where the true power lies in being quick thinking, fast moving, and right down to the modern time. We don't have time to waste. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan teaches us that we must be respecters of time. Start things on time, end things on time.
That's right.
What helps with that is thinking quickly. And during the thinking process, understanding the law of cause and effect and how this thought and movement will engage or bring about an effect that may be of detriment or may be positive or beneficial. So now when I go through life, I tutor mathematics. And one of the things I tell my tutees, yeah, we're going to learn how to, do algebra. You're going to learn how to find the area of this shape. You're going to learn how to do a number of these different, you're going to learn how to do word problems better. You're going to know how to do all these things. But what you're going to learn beyond anything is how to think critically and how to solve problems in your life to bring about the desired result. And one thing that one of my favorite teachers I've ever had, Miss Hogan from George Washington Carver High School of Engineering and Science, she said to me, and I keep this to this day, you're not good at math unless you're good at math fast.
Mm.
Mm. Mm.
So we can take forever to solve a problem, but are we really powerful?
Mm.
The equation for power, again, is work divided by time, or force times distance divided by time. So the smaller the denominator, the larger the number, or relative to the numerator, the larger the number. So I have to get work done in a short amount of time to be considered powerful.
Come on.
So now, again, if the God is a possessor of power and force, that means that God is one who gets stuff done quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, again, going back, quick thinking, fast moving, right down to the modern time is the modus operandi, or the mode of operation of the God.
Sorry.
And if we're to be made into God's children of the Most High, we have to exemplify that phrase to the highest and most pristine degree.
That's right. That's why we're
Praise
so
be to Allah.
on definitions and being able to break down the root word and the meaning of words whenever we do an interview on the STEM files. Because the moment someone says something that the general population may not understand, we stop and we ask our guests to break down that particular term so that from then on out, our guests and our audience can understand exactly what our guest is talking about.
Praise be to Allah. The beauty of clearing words. Praise be to Allah. Also, just on that as well, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has been quoted as saying, and I'm paraphrasing to a degree, when you see a thing, look at it. Brother Minister Jabril Muhammad, may Allah continue to be pleased with him, said that when you see a problem, it is something for you to see to solve. In understanding that the thoughts that we have are not coincidental. We know that there's no coincidences in Islam. So if you don't mind, take me through your understanding and perspective of the thoughts that you have and pursuing them, and the importance of not discounting or looking at the thoughts that you have as just a vicarious thought, but actually looking at that thought and then taking the time, as we stated, and be quick about moving out on it as well. We kind of touched on it earlier about not wasting time, and understanding that Allah is not going to waste that thought on you to pursue it, but just kind of speak a little bit more as far as when you see something in your mind, looking at it as a challenge and a mission for yourself to be able to move out on it. We can start with you, Brother Tariq.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that question. You know, and for anybody that knows me, Jabril, you, Brother West, you know, we do a lot of stuff together here in the city. And for anyone that knows me, I'm very passionate about nation building, right? And I'm very passionate about turning our attention to things that can help not only build the nation, but in turn provide for the needs of our people. And one of the things that I've always, you know, looked at whenever it came to a group of people, and let's take our mosque, for example, right? You know, we have these beautiful 9 ministries. And instead of saying, you know, why don't we see this? Or why is this not here? An intelligent person looks at something and fills in the gap, or whatever, or provides the need for something that needs to be there, right? They provide their skills and their talents to that particular area, and now it's available, right? So we have to look at things from an intelligence standpoint, and being able to take what we have to offer our people and our communities and provide solutions to these problems. There's nothing that can be done or be fixed by complaining. There's nothing that can be done or fixed by pointing the finger, right? We have to be able to look at a situation, assess the problem, and provide a solution, whether it be something we have or somebody we know that has that particular solution. So it's just all about, and forgive me if I'm being short on my answers, but it's all about finding, you know, assessing the situation, scanning yourself to see, okay, do I have the solution to this problem? And who do I need to work with to make sure that this problem can subside?
Praise be to Allah. Brother Jabril, do you have any comments on that as well?
Yes, and thank you so much for asking that. One of the main issues I find that people have with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not so much the teaching in essence. It's that the teachings disallow you to make excuses for your apparent issues in life, or for where you are or where you're not in your own life. The teachings provide you with simple and more complex truths about yourself, God, enemy, and the time you're in, that you may properly relate to your lived experience and secure something of benefit for yourself while you live. That requires you to now go to war with whatever preconceived notion about yourself that you had prior to hitting this light. So now what happens is Islam rejects the notion that we're just on this earth to exist. We all are on this earth to accomplish something, and it's not necessarily to make a whole lot of money, be it influencer, cure cancer, what have you, but you have a specific purpose that when you find that your lived experience is a lot more blissful. Not that you're without problems, but that you're able to attack and solve problems in a manner that allows you to smile and appreciate and gain joy out of life. So, Minister Rodney Muhammad, the student regional minister out of the Delaware Valley region, said something some time ago. I believe he said from the Honorable Minister's Farrakhan, but I know he said it. So he said, when you accept Islam, you've lost the right to be mediocre.
Talk about it.
So if Muhammad makes men and Muhammad makes women, and we're taught that the Savior would not accept anything but himself in us, the Savior is far beyond. You can't even say mediocre and Master Muhammad in the same sentence. I know I just did, but that doesn't count.
Come on.
So now, what does that mean for me? But they said a nigga ain't nothing, ain't never gonna be nothing. They told me I couldn't do this, told me that. But now you have cognitive dissonance because it's like, well, I'm the original man, the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the king of the planet Earth, God of the universe. Oh, that's different.
Right.
But I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. Life is about struggling. Nothing in life of value comes easy. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan said everything of value has a difficulty factor attached to it. And Islam forces us to work on our will to accomplish things of substance. So when we see a problem, the nature of the human being is to try to think about and then carry out the idea that was a result of the thought on how to fix that problem. And the issue or the stress comes when you are unable to solve that problem in the time frame that you thought you could.
Right.
But again, this goes back to now Islam as a communal way of life. Our way of life is not meant to be lived alone. So now when I meet with my brother, I engage the cipher, as some of our brothers and sisters like to say, the circle of the God. So now I'm bouncing ideas off one another. I'm in study group. I'm having conversations. I'm on Zoom calls. I'm with my squad. I'm talking. So now where I might fall short, my brother might be strong. Where he might fall short, my sister might be strong. And now we're solving problems as a unit and building a nation, one idea to one completed action at a time.
That's right.
So I pray that answers your question.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. We have a couple questions in the chat, and then I want to turn it over to Brother West. The first question in the chat here by Sister Latifa. There we go. What type of discipline, in addition to concentrated focus, is required to move a thought into a fleshed out idea? Anyone can start on that one.
We did a workshop on that sometime. We need to bring that back, brother.
Right. Well, the discipline comes from knowing first and foremost, and this is, you have people who are outside of the nation that have this type of discipline to be able to take a thought and flesh it out into an idea, right? But I would say that one of the main things that you need to have this discipline is, of course, and Jabril touched on this earlier, the right type of diet, right? In fact, how to live itself isn't really a meal plan. It isn't a diet. It's a life force. It's an energy. And when we are masters, or we are striving to be masters of the way we eat, the way we think will follow suit. That's why one of the first things that Prophet Muhammad did with his people is to teach them how to eat. Or with any prophet is sent to a people, the first thing that they teach them is how to eat. Because the eating and the being able to control what they put in their mouths sets the tone for everything of productivity or anything productive that they will eventually do with their lives. So that's number one, having the discipline to control what you put in your mouth and how you eat. Then, of course, the relationships that we have with each other, right? Jabril and I have been through a lot in our works together. I consider him my right hand. I've been in his wedding. He's been involved in a lot of my personal affairs. We consider each other very close friends, best friends even. And those relationships that you have with your brothers, and even you, Brother West, with the relationship that we've developed over time, those relationships that you have and being able to be close to your brother and not have that devil seeping into those ranks, and your brother being right there at your shoulder, right? That's important, that relationship that you have, because as Jabril said a few minutes ago, being able to bounce ideas off of each other builds that discipline, right? So now you know that if I can't figure something out, you can always rely on your brother to help you get through something or to help you figure out the way to overcome this particular situation. So I would say personally, how you eat, your relationship with your brothers and your sisters, as well as, of course, first and foremost, your relationship with Allah. You know, you can't accomplish anything in this world, I don't care what anybody says, without a very tight relationship with Allah. And even if you're striving to build that relationship with him, still keep in mind that whatever it is that you're trying to do is not going to be accomplished unless that relationship with him is first and foremost.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Jabril?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for this question, Sister Latifa. I wanted to unpack. I want to unpack discipline. I have two core definitions. So one is the quality of being able to behave and work in a controlled way, which involves obeying particular rules or standards, and that lends itself to the concentrated focus. But I also want to bring up another definition, which is a branch of knowledge, typically one studied in higher education. So we must be disciplined, but we also must have a certain knowledge base when we're trying to move a thought into a fleshed out idea. So in addition to focusing, what we must learn how to do is locate, study, and implement systems that encompass a particular network, particular assets, and personnel that then create a team and an ecosystem that allow us to take the idea from concept to completion. One of the biggest issues, I've suffered from it. I know that you know, other people in my friend group and network have suffered from it. One of the biggest issues that we as a people have when it comes to business, when it comes to bringing an idea to fruition, is that we lack the requisite system to do these things. So we may have focus, we may be motivated, we may have discipline, but you can be disciplined doing the wrong thing day in and day out. And all that's going to do is get you further away from the goal because you're not implementing the proper practice. But now, let's say we do the proper practice. Not only are you compounding that with the discipline, but because you're working smarter or working with the proper system, you may cut the completion time down without even knowing that you did.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So, yes, we must have supreme organization and focus, but we have to lump the focus in with the proper system, which again centers around who we're working with, what we're working with, and what we're doing in the time frame we're doing it. Those things allow for us to be very effective in bringing an idea to fruition.
Absolutely.
Praise be to Allah. We have one other question here, also presented by Sister Latifa. What mental thought material and activity does a person have to move a world of people as Master Fard Muhammad is doing in this term of Savior's Day? And how do we acquire it and sustain it? We can start with Brother Jabril and then we'll move to Brother Tariq.
Read the question.
Yes, sir.
And to move a world of people as Master Muhammad is doing in this term. And I believe it's term like the word or term like the time period. I'm gonna try to. I'm hoping it means maybe time period. So I want to go to the picture that we have of Master Fard Muhammad, and the only one that we have at least sanctioned at this point.
Right.
I'm gonna say that my choice of words was very specific there. Careful. So the picture we have of Master Muhammad is him reading, but it's more than that. He's not only reading or studying; he's studying something specific, which is the Holy Quran. So we must be infatuated with and supremely engaged in studying the Word of God, which forms the very fabric of reality,
Come on.
that we may be successful in being saviors in this day and age. You're talking about a man in Master Muhammad who came 9,000 miles to seek and to save that which was lost, breaking that circle of the gods and coming when the others thought that he should not, or that they wouldn't, because we were too far gone. A man who grew into godhood and was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save my people. And now, with that supreme knowledge and wisdom and understanding, gained from a supreme understanding now of that word and of the concepts of freedom, justice, and equality, and of the various sciences of high civilization, you now raise a people. So the more we study that word and then orient our lives around it. Again, one of our study guides is Allah the center of everything. I believe that's how it's termed. Or making Allah our exclusive object, one or the other. I'm forgetting the wordage. The gist of it is that we have to orient our lives around God and not orient God around our lives. And the more we do that, now when we look at problems, when we look at the circumstances of our people, and we're trying to move thought from here into the real world, we are armed with a mind that is built for success. We're armed with a mind that does not know I can't. Right? It says, Allah just simply says to a thing, kun fayakun, or be, and it is. It doesn't mean he snaps his fingers and now you see, I don't know, a skyscraper. It means that he said be, meaning this is. It's over with. Just got to take the steps to get to it. It's going to happen. Nothing's going to stop you. And that's the work being done. Putting people, things, circumstances in place to bring about a specific end. It's done. Well, if we applied that same mantra to our own life, will we find that we pay rent and mortgage easier? Will we find that we can start business easier? Will we find it easier to reconcile with loved ones who may have rubbed us the wrong way? Will we find it easier to have a substantive and positive relationship with our children and our spouses? Will we find it easier to be successful and live the life of Islam and be productive in a world that doesn't want to see us win? So it goes back to that connection to that source of strength, that study of that specific word, and now we have that fuel that allows us to go out and now seek and achieve all that's in our mind. And like the physical food that we talked about that is more pure and unprocessed, you're taking a very high level mental and spiritual food in that is keeping you on high and keeping you energized to meet and overcome all obstacles in your path. So I pray that answers your question, Sister Latifah.
All praise is due to Allah. Brother Tariq, anything you'd like to add to that?
Absolutely. Can you put the question back up?
Yes,
Okay.
I was just about to look for this thing. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, shout out to Sister Latifah. She's one of the hardest working MGT that we have in Richmond, Virginia. I bear witness. Is the passion that she has for her people is almost unmatched. But you know, the material and the activity that it takes to really live in this Savior's Day term, you know, we have to really sit down and ask ourselves, what does that look like, right? So we have, therefore, you know, at MGT, we have the Final Call newspaper. We know that this tool is used to help deliver our people to the Lamb of God. It's that first minister, right? And we know that if we had a tool that can help deliver our people to the Lamb of God, you know, we can see the world move in accord to Master Fard Muhammad, right? And we also have another thing that and I'm going to say this again, we have another thing that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us, and that is the 9 ministries. Because the 9 ministries is the government or the foundation that's really going to help provide that new world, that new way of governing our people, so that in turn moves the world to the way that we've been taught, right? So we just have to be very appreciative of our tools. And Jabril is an engineer, so his thought process and answers to these questions are a little bit more detailed than mine. But the Final Call newspaper, the 9 ministries, the study guides, having 5 pillars of Islam, these tools allow us to be what we're supposed to be in the world that Master Fard Muhammad wants us to have. So just being, understanding of these blessings and these gifts will really, help change our lives and of course our thought process to get to that new world.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you for your responses. And again, thank you for the questions as well provided in the chat. I would like to now turn our program back over to Brother West with a few more questions before we close out.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just wanted to now ask you all, what's next for this? Excuse me, I have hiccups a little bit. What's next for the STEM files? We can start with you, Brother Jabril.
Praise be to Allah. It's rare, believe it or not, it's rare that we're asked that question. And I always appreciate those who do, because it's so easy to get locked in what's working or what people appreciate.
Right.
And one of the things I think I said on one of our last shows is that the STEM Files trio, the co-hosts, we're outside. And when I said that, what I meant was we are not only on this platform, we're also striving to engage our community in real time with boots on the ground. And what I would say is for those who are tapped in, right, at the STEM Files on all social media platforms, you're going to see a lot more differentiated programming coming forward, more targeted conversation. We also working behind the scenes on some materials for sale. I'm going to say it like that. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to be making sure that we're giving more timely, current STEM related news, or what we term it Blackest STEM news. So if those who are interested, if you go to our Instagram and you go to the link in our bio, you'll see our link tree for our related information. And you can sign up for our newsletter to receive a number of different things, updates on in-person or other unique programming, like I said, merchandise and things of that nature. But more than anything, I would say our goal is to begin to impact our people in more multifaceted ways. And that's from classes and courses to actual other products and services, and really grow the brand to a level where the STEM Files really becomes, for any and everyone, that voice of STEM talent in Black culture. And we're really able to affect change in people's lives by allowing them to understand that STEM is present in their life at all times, whether they pursue a degree in STEM or a discipline in STEM or not. And I would love to hear Brother Tariq's thoughts on this as well.
Absolutely. Yes, and the STEM Files, and we've come a long way since 2016. At first we were on Blog Talk Radio, then we transitioned to Google Hangouts when that was the big thing, and then we we started using StreamYard and other ways of broadcasting the content. But we would be remiss if we didn't give a quick shout out to 1/3 of the STEM Files team, the new addition to the STEM Files team, Sister Dr. Joy.
That's right.
Out of Greensboro, North Carolina. She was actually on this platform a few weeks ago. And Sister Dr. Joy has been such and I know I don't tell her this often, but she's been such an amazing addition to the STEM Files team. There's been so much that we've been able to do now that we have three minds. And brothers, this is particularly for the brothers. You think that whatever you're working on is top notch, but it's not going to be anything until a sister gets a hold of it.
I've been
No matter
witness, and that's married or unmarried.
married, unmarried, whatever you're doing in your life, the MGT will make it 1,000 times better. Trust me. So there have been a lot of things that we've been able to accomplish and do that Jabril and I, you know, we weren't procrastinating or nothing like that, but him and I have a lot of responsibilities when it comes to the STEM Files, and having that third person, especially in MGT, to come on and really, you know, look at what we need and fill in those gaps really help transform the overall look and power and force of the STEM Files. So we appreciate her for that. Yeah, she laughing now because she know what I'm talking about. But we thank Allah for how far we've come in the journey. And, you know, coming up on the STEM Files, you know, we just did a 2-part series on, you know, how to grocery shop holistically. But that itself is going to turn into a very lengthy web series that we're going to be doing more parts 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10 if need be, of that particular topic. And I also want to give a quick shout out to Sister Chantel. Sister Chantel, our guest that we had on those last 2 episodes. She is not someone that likes to be behind the camera, right? If
Right.
Anybody that knows Sister Chantel, and Sister Dr. Joy and I work with her in the Ministry of Health, anybody that knows Sister Chantel knows that she likes to be behind the scenes. She likes to take that pen and write. You know, she's not personally, you know, being in the camera. But one of the amazing things that we've been blessed to experience on the STEM Files is being able to take people out of their comfort zone and then make incredible products and incredible content from that. So I just want to give a quick shout out to her, and as well as anybody who tunes in every Thursday to watch us, to support what we do, whether you are in the nation or not. Your support and your viewership of our program and you being a member of our core audience has really inspired us to continue to do the work that we're doing with the STEM Files. So thank you so much for tuning in. And this whole segment is a plug. So we just plug in STEM Files, at the STEM Files on all social media platforms, at Tariq Cardiac, at Jabril _engineer, at the Chi Mechanic on Instagram. But yeah, we appreciate y'all.
Praise be to Allah. Looks like Brother West may have dropped off, so inshallah he'll be right back on. But we appreciate definitely your responses to everything that we've asked, not only from us as co-hosts, but the questions in the chat as well. Thank you to the audience as well for providing such beautiful questions as well. We would like to now, before we go to the announcements, do you all mind sharing, you know, how we can get in contact with you all outside? We did post the IG and the YouTube. Is there anything else that we may have missed? If so, feel free to plug that now to be able to get in contact with you all to get more information, not only on the STEM Files, but the research and other services that you all provide as well.
Absolutely. If you're trying to contact me directly, you can reach me on Instagram at Tariq Cardiac. If you're trying to reach me on Facebook, it's Tariq Cardiac Muhammad. If you want to reach me by email, it's tjmuhammad94@gmail.com. Once again, it's tjmuhammad94@gmail.com. If you're interested in learning more about CPR and you'd like to get CPR certified, CPR first aid certified, definitely reach out via that same email. For our STEM Files, it's the STEM Files, THESTEM Files 16@gmail.com. And of course, at the STEM Files on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Jabril.
Yes, sir. Our brother so eloquently gave his and the STEM Files handles and contact methods for myself. If you want to contact me directly, Instagram at Jabrilliant, JABRILLIANT_engineer. Jabril Muhammad on Facebook, Jabril Muhammad 93. gmail.com if you want to contact me via email. If you're interested in academic consulting or tutoring, you can contact me via email at n as in Nancy EPC connect at gmail.com. That's nepcconnect@gmail.com. My family, we have a academic consultancy called New Educational Paradigm Consultants, where we engage with students of various grade levels in math, science, ELA, SAT prep, tutoring, and academic consulting in general. And I specifically specialize in the math, so pretty much all levels, right? Grade school to high school to college as well, from your basic math and arithmetic all the way up to algebra and calculus as well.
You're gonna get you straight on that calculus, that's for sure.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for sharing that as well. If y'all don't mind, I guess after we get off the program, just send that over to us so we can make sure we drop it into the chat after this has uploaded as well, so everyone can have that, just in case they didn't catch it all from the verbal side. We want to make sure we have it all documented as well. So praise be to Allah. Thank you for that. Brother West is back. Did you have anything else that you wanted to ask, Brother West, before we move to announcements?
No, sir. We unfortunately won't have time, but I had a great time interviewing you all. You all gave some great responses. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. All right, so at this time, we're going to go to our announcements. Let me pull those up here. Again, thank you both for joining us on What Has Islam Done for Me. Definitely was a pleasure as well on my side. So I definitely, all praises due to Allah for the involvement and you all's permission and participation this evening as well. So praise be to Allah and thank you. All right. So with our announcements, if you enjoyed what you heard and would like to learn more about these life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught and demonstrated by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, feel free to join or go to the link that you see here as well, NOI.org/join. Let me make that a little bit bigger here so we can see. Praise be to Allah. You also can go visit a local study group as well. Go to www.noi.org/go study. And also you can call NOI headquarters to get more information and to join as well. 773-324-6000. As always, Final Call Radio. If you want to be able to listen to these life-giving teachings as taught and demonstrated by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, tune in to Final Call Radio. Be able to listen to lectures, different clips through lectures, and be able to hear all of the lectures and different points from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Final Call Radio is the place to be and to be listening. The Final Call newspaper, we've touched on it today on how this the number one minister of the Nation of Islam. This is the Final Call newspaper to support. Definitely look for one of your brothers that you see out in the highways and byways and be able to get a copy of the Final Call newspaper, or you can get a digital version as well at digitalfinalcall.com. And also, we would like to speak and support the book by our host, Brother Donald Muhammad. I never knew. I can't see the title here. I Am All That. Praise be to Allah. Book 1 by our host, Brother Donald Muhammad. Illustrations done by Sister Amina Lay. Again, thank you all for your support. And I would like to now turn our program to Brother Donald Muhammad, our host, and then we'll get into our Muhammad moment.
All praises due to Allah. You know, I'm biased, and I'm saying that to say that I really believe that the only way out for Black people specifically and humanity in general is through the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the person of the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm saying that because this crazy world, there has to be an alternative. And I look at you young, brilliant minds, and I'm so grateful to see minds like that coming behind me to pick up the torchlight, to reach up and grab the baton and keep this thing going, because I'm almost 35 years old now. I need a little help. But seriously speaking, it's good to see young people come along and keep the banner of Islam raised high, as Brother West does, as Brother Wesley does. I'm thankful for my WHID-FM team, Brother Wesley, Brother Wes, Sister Latifa, and of course, Sister Janine Muhammad, who inshallah will rejoin us again next week. And then, of course, there's a special shout out to my beloved wife, my best friend, the unseen among the seen. And you already know, if God had not came, or God had not come, if he had not raised up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, had they not left with us in their absence, the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, there would be no WHID-FM, and there would certainly be no Brother Donald Muhammad. So we thank the listening audience. We thank our guests. We thank all those who support WHID-FM, and we pray for success in many, many years to come. Thank you and love you all. So with that, I greet you with the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum, and turn it back into the hands of my beloved tech specialist, Brother Wesley Muhammad, for our Muhammad moment. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Excuse me, I'm on mute. I'm just talking. So praise be to Allah. Thank you for that. Our Muhammad moment is the lecture entitled The Mind of God by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This was delivered in Muhammad University of Islam in Chicago, Illinois on January 30th, 1991. You can get this lecture and many of the lectures from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan from store.finalcall.com. Let's enjoy tonight's Muhammad moment.
Going into the mind of God. When Jesus became Christ, he was already in the mind of God. When Peter said, I know who you are. Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. He said, don't tell nobody. Why not tell anybody? Because it's not yet so. I have not yet ascended to my Father. Meaning that's my position, all right, but I haven't gotten it yet. I'm not yet the powerful man that I'm going to be, so don't call me by that title yet. But when I become Jesus the Christ, I will have the power to crush my enemies. He didn't have the power when he went to the cross, but after he ascended to the Father, they said they saw him coming in the clouds of heaven, having great power. He wasn't the same man no more. When he comes back, he's not the same as when he left. When he comes back, he's in the mind of God. That means he got the power of God. And the scripture said, God put everything under Jesus, but he himself, all powers were turned over to him. Why? Because he had grown into the thinking, the mind of God. So they say he sits at the right hand of God. What does that mean? Oh, can I get near your right hand, brother? God, where's your right hand? I need to get near your right. No, come on. The right hand is the hand that executes the power of the mind. As Jesus is the right hand of God, it means he's the executor of God's will. And that's why Jesus is said to be the one to bring about the judgment. God directs him, but Jesus does it. He's powerful enough to judge everything, the quick and the dead. Ooh, that's something. Now, wait a minute. Paul, let's come back over here a minute, Paul. And tell us, what are you talking about? Let this mind be in you, the same that was in Christ Jesus. Who are you talking to, Paul? He's talking to the followers of Jesus Christ. But they're babies now. They're immature now. But he's saying to them, look, permit yourself to grow into the mind of Christ. Well, what mind did he grow into? God's mind. Then if you got God's mind in you, who are you? Who are you? You become God. You become agents of God and God. If your mind is God's mind, then you think like God, you act like God, you're doing the will of God. So the whole earth is filled with God. So we become gods. Ye are all God's children of the Most High God. This is why the white man don't want you to come near the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because, thank you. Because he knows you think like him. He's the real devil. He's your teacher. So you think like your master. So you do like white folks. So God can say to you, my ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Mine are from above, yours are from beneath. Why are your thoughts from beneath? Because you let an enemy shape your mind. You let a devil shape your mind. So if the white man is your educator, your teacher, and your trainer, you don't think like God, you think like the one who taught you. And it is only when you come into God's classroom and become a student of God that you can grow into God. And that's why Jesus said, except you become as a little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of God.
All praises due to Allah, a wonderful message. With that, we'll close out in prayer. Attention prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rahman Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam.
I want you to understand that know the time. It's time that we are accepted and respected by both man and mankind. You know, the scripture says that God would choose those that are despised and rejected. And we have been